Hello and welcome to the Irish Goodbye podcast. Here we are in episode 4. Today we have Lucy Olivera with us. She's going to introduce herself shortly. But remember, here on the Irish Goodbye podcast, we talk to real people with real stories. Usually people have a change in their life somewhere, whether it's career or personal, and it's people who can impact you hopefully in some meaningful way. So Lucy, why don't you say hello to us?
Hello, thank you so much for that warm introduction, Carl. So my name is Lucy Olivera, and I am the founder of BeThere. It's a AI digital concierge platform in which we're connecting travelers with city experiences, but we're doing it in a way in which it's very locally influenced, so that travelers don't waste time going back and forth from different platforms to find what to do when they enter a new city. Right now, we're based out of Miami, but we're looking to expand to as many cities as possible.
Excellent. So you didn't just decide one day to set up a company. What was the journey that's brought you here? Or where else have you worked?
Yeah, so that's that's a long story, but I'll try to keep it as short as possible. It all started with just me as a young person. As when I was like in middle school, I always had like a knack for wanting to be an entrepreneur. I was actually part of this school that is like a micro society. So like around 1 p.m. every day, we would have to break out as middle schoolers and run our own little business. So for me, that was already like an exposure to business. I started my own business back then, like my own nonprofit. I went to the principal, talked to them. It was pretty cool, very interesting. So I always had it in me. But then as I grew older, I was very studious. So I was very into like school. And then when I finished school, I was supposed to, I'm talking college now, I'm fast forwarding quick. I wanted to become an optometrist. So I studied chemistry. And then once I finished, I go to my parents and I say, hey, I'm going to become a poker player, which is a very non-traditional thing to tell your Cuban parents. So they were, expecting.
Well, they often go hand in hand, don't they? Optometry and poker. I mean, you see everyone does that, right?
I guess if you put all the math together. So I pretty much went the unorthodox way, and I was like, okay, I'm going to become a poker player, break the news to my poor parents. They're like, what are you doing? Moved to Chicago, pursued that for about 6 years. So I was successful at poker, luckily. Started online, then gradually started playing at casinos, started playing home games. So it was a very interesting life path to take because you have a lot of autonomy. So it's very much like business. You control your own money, you control your own time. So you cry a lot and you celebrate a lot, just like in business.
I'd say you learn a huge amount about people, especially playing poker.
And people, yeah, because I'm a big people person. So I realized like already when I was in college that I was not going to be good in a lab studying. It didn't match my personality. So yeah, for me, that was like, okay, I got to find something else. So poker just went hand in hand, and I'm also very competitive. So it was like perfect to take that out of me. I played basketball growing up, so I needed to find an outlet to release that competitive side. And I think that poker really did that for me.
I think my only view of those home games of poker is episodes of The Sopranos. So
the home games are hilarious, actually. Like they're not very legal, but they are definitely a lot of fun. That's when you kind of know you've made it as a poker player once you're getting invited to the home games. Because in the beginning, you're just like grinding it out. Either you're grinding it out like online or you're grinding it out like at the casino, and it's like endless amount of hours that you're just like working and burning out. And then it's like a big magical door opens once like these people are like, oh, come to my home game, because it's like the worst players are there. So you're just like chasing what we call the fish or the whale, like the worst players. And then you're playing with them right there privately. There's like masseuses and there's like private chefs, and it's just like you're taking shots and like living like your best life. So it makes poker a lot less stressful and a lot more fun.
Okay, how do you get from, I'm just picturing you in a room with Frank Sinatra now, so how do you get from there to running an AI concierge company?
Yeah, so then like I told you, my life is like, I think I was created in a lab, so don't mind me. My life is very intricate and very interesting. So once I pretty much decided to retire from poker, it was a sad moment in my life. I don't want to get yappy right now, but my dad had passed away from COVID
I'm
in
sorry.
2020, and I realized, oh man, like poker just wasn't giving me that satisfaction of, oh, like I'm giving something back, to the community. Like, yeah, I'm making money, yeah, I'm making quick cash, I'm traveling, it's really fun, but realizing that you lose a parent and like, or anyone that means a lot to you, really puts life into perspective. So I, at that moment, was like, okay, I want to take my earnings. I have a solid amount of earnings. Let me now focus on something that I can actually be passionate about, get back to the community. And that's where BeThere emerged. I kind of went the crazy route. I completely cold turkey quit poker, um, taught myself how to code, and moved to Colombia. Usually trips to Colombia are fun. Mine was like the most disciplined Colombia trip you can ever imagine. It was like
For
crazy
anybody
routine.
watching, they'll know what disciplined Columbia trip means.
Yeah, exactly. Like usually Colombia is like fun. For me, it was like waking up, cooking my breakfast, uh, cold shower, meditation, reading my book, uh, hitting the gym, and then coding the website for
I
BeThere,
am
like the
seeing
original.
I'm seeing a pattern here though. When you reinvent yourself, you geographically do it too.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it was like I needed to get away from I live in Miami, so I'm based out of Miami. And then one thing with Miami is that it can be very distracting. Pretty much all my friends are here. Nobody works in Miami. I feel like nobody ever works in this city. It's just like a big joke. And I'm very serious when it comes to work. So I wanted to detach myself from
Okay.
everyone and no excuse of like, hey, why aren't you coming out for dinner? Or, hey, why come out for a drink? And I was like, hey, sorry, I'm in a different country. It's like the best way to like avoid people. So yeah, and it's also an affordable country. Colombia is very cheap. So I went to Medellin, and it's like I found like the cheapest, nicest place. It was like $30 a day. So I made like, yeah, it was a nice apartment. Honestly, it worked out for me. Had a kitchen, had everything I needed. And yeah, I went into it. I started grinding. I knew I had a passion for people, like I was mentioning, and I knew that I wanted to do something in the hospitality business. And I also traveled a lot as a poker player. So I would find and encounter these problems that I'm solving now for BeThere, which is, hey, I'm in a new city and I'm just wasting so much time, like looking for what to do, or, oh, should I go to this tour? Should I do that one? So because of that, I was like, okay, I should create something like this. And I tested it out with Airbnbs after I built my MVP, managed to get inside 21 Airbnbs, worked out well. But like everything, when you're doing something alone, you need a team. You need people to help build you up. So then I put BeThere to rest for a little bit, and I transitioned into working for Meta, which is like another thing that shocks a lot of people.
And what city did you couple that with?
So with Meta, the thing was that I was always in poker around a lot of male influences, and almost all my mentors have been males, which I appreciate so much. I've learned so much about investing and how to like travel, great things, right? But I was looking for like I wanted a woman influence, right? Like somebody that I can kind of relate to. I was growing older at the time, so I was like, and I'm delving into business. So I was like, okay, how can I do this? So I went to my friend in Google and I go to him, hey, I need a mentor. He's like, I'll be your mentor. And I was like, no, I need a woman mentor. So then he was like, oh, I know the perfect person for you. So he pretty much got me in touch with the lady at Meta, who's like the women leader of all the women in Meta. And like she mentors them and she works at Meta as well. And her and I met for about 3 months every Wednesday, and she was just giving me like the best advice. But then she like coached me and she's like, I want you to work for Meta. She's like, you got to apply. She's like, we want your type of personality, your type of wit here. And I was like flattered. I was like, what? I was like, people who go to like Stanford and like Harvard, like they can't even get into Meta. So I was like, no chance.
I love that you show that. I love that you show that there's, and this is something, and like I always have a mentor and I love to mentor.
Yeah,
You and I know each other well enough to know.
of course. Yeah, and I love that.
One of the things I always say is there's a highway in life that, high school leads to university, university leads to the corporate job leads to an easy retirement.
Yeah.
But there's on-ramps and off-ramps everywhere on that highway. And you don't always have to be on the highway just to get into that role. I'm a construction worker from Dublin. You're a poker player from Chicago, right?
I'm like a Cuban girl, immigrant girl who would have never thought to even reach those heights. So it was very obviously it was unreal for me because when I did enter Meta, so I got in, I passed what I needed to pass, got in there. And I was around all these like type A personalities that are similar to how I am. So I was like, wow, like this is what the real world, like my fantasy world would look like, right? In a workplace. So I learned a ton. I was so thankful because honestly, she put me in front of a lot of powerful women in Meta as well. So she knew that I was like new to the corporate world. So she was like, hey, like talk to everybody, learn every avenue. And at that moment, I just realized that I needed to work for myself. Like it didn't matter whether it was Meta, Google, whatever. I needed to do my own thing because I just don't have it in me to like sit still. I like to build and create. So all I can think of at the moment while I was there was like BeThere. I was like, I gotta make BeThere happen some way, somehow.
I love that. I know you told me this before, but please explain the meaning behind the name BeThere.
So the reason I chose the name BeThere is because I don't want to like toot my horn, but I kind of feel like I'm good at picking names. I really try to like brainstorm because I didn't want to just give it like any like.
I hate to bring it to you, Lucy. We have you on here because you're good. All right. So we can
I love
pause
that.
with the
it's like one of those rare talents. Like I would name my dogs, and I'm like, I gave the dog that really good name. So it's like one of the few things I like to toot my own horn about. So BeThere was all because I wanted people to be there in the moment. Like I wanted the app to not only demonstrate what it was doing through, the concierge side of things, but I wanted to also be kind of like a psychological thing of like, hey, I'm here in the moment. I'm traveling. I'm spending this vacation money, this vacation time. And I just want to be there. I don't want to like think about anything else. So that's where the whole concept of be there.
Don't just go there, be there.
Don't just go there, be there. Exactly. Yeah, that's like our slogan. Fabulous. Yeah, that's just concierge. Yeah.
Well, look, you've given us a really nice sort of meandering path to kind of how you got to where you are. You've touched on the first question I was really going to put to you, which is what's the job that surprised most people? And I think playing poker is going to take most people by surprise there.
For sure, yeah. Not normal.
So, no, it's not the usual route. But when did you feel like you were not just showing up, that you were owning it? Like when was the first time you realized, right, I'm not just getting money together, I'm actually building something meaningful that's bigger than the paycheck, bigger than the moment?
No, that's an amazing question. I think that a lot of people should look into that because I think that's the big pivotal point in your life, right? When you are like, oh, I'm doing it. Like this is it now. Like I have responsibilities. And I think for me, it was really when I was looked at as a leader, right? So I am the founder and I have co-founders. And I've always, poker's, like I told you, very autonomous. So you like don't have to really worry about other people. You're worried about yourself. It's kind of like a selfish sport. So with business, it's a little different. I was like, now I'm forming this team to like, create something, but everybody looks at you for the vision, right? And you have to lead by example. You have to, hold your integrity. And that's when I realized, wow, like this is serious. Like I need to really hone in on this and make sure that whatever I'm doing, I know everybody's looking. And that's when I woke up to the idea.
And how did that I'm trying to find the best way of saying this, because I've had a similar moment where I went from being an individual contributor, and I still am, but now there's people who look to me to kind of like, what are we doing for this $8 million deal or whatever it happens to be? And that the numbers get bigger, but the responsibility grows with it, right? But so when did you sort of transition from, well, shit, I don't know, to being confident in the decision that you're making was at least, even if it's not right, it's at least in the right direction, you can pivot and tighten it as you go?
Yeah. So when I realized that was because everything that could go wrong went right, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. So I genuinely knew nothing about anything when I started BeThere, when it came to business at least. And for some reason, things just started falling in. Like I'm talking about like when I needed like lawyer advice, one of my friends would be like, hey, I can connect you to this lawyer. And like this lawyer would give me like free advice, like which usually cost a ton.
Mhm.
When I needed to figure out like insurance, it's like it was just like everything was falling into place in such a seamless way that I wasn't even trying, that's when I was like, wow, like this is working, like this is actually meant for me to do, because if not, I feel like nothing should be hard. Things should just come easily. If you're forcing something, it probably shouldn't be happening, right? So when I noticed how everything was just running so smoothly, I was like, okay, this is meant to do, like this is meant for me to do. And I just kept pushing forward, and that's how I pushed myself to this moment here.
Can I challenge that a little bit?
Yeah, no, please, please, please.
And the reason I do is for anybody who's watching is to just flesh out that thought, right? That it shouldn't be hard. It should be easier. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think it's
Yeah,
easier because you've already put in the hard yards, right?
correct. Yeah, I
So you
also
went
have
from
put a lot of work.
optometry to poker. You went from poker to getting a mentor to Meta, from Meta to setting up your own company. You've put
Yeah,
in the hard yards, right? So that's why it's
absolutely.
easier. And your
And
network is a network that's valuable because of who you are, not because like
100%.
I couldn't have stepped off a plane here, a sheetrock worker, and just gone, all right, well, I'm doing what you've done, because nobody can do what you've done. You've done what you've done because there's a particular set of skills,
Yeah.
right?
No,
So
100%, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, you do have to build yourself up to this moment. I think that it's very important for you to really realize at any age, honestly, I like, look, I pivoted from poker at the age of like 28. So it's never too late, but it is important to start kind of like building skill sets, right? So that once you do reach a certain point of what you find your passion to be, you can pursue it and be happy doing it. So yeah, I completely agree. It wasn't like an overnight success story. I had a lot of crying nights, like my biggest losing nights in poker. You know, building BeThere has been pretty stressful too. So it's a lot that goes into it, but
it's
you just
also
have to have the wit.
building the confidence that mistakes or frustrations that happen now don't break you. Whereas
No,
10 years ago, they could have absolutely destroyed you.
exactly. That's actually great, because I feel like for me, my biggest thing as a child was fear. Like I was a very fearful kid. Like I would always, even for like the smallest things, like I would make my brother go get the sauces in McDonald's because I didn't want to talk to people. So it's kind of like breaking out of that fear and realizing that, hey, nobody cares really. Like nobody cares about you. You have to care about yourself. And we're here for such a short period of time that if you don't make the most out of it, it's just not even like, what are you doing? Right. So just do what makes you happy.
Yeah. One of my mentors said to me once, you will stop worrying what people think about you when you realize how seldom they do think about you.
Exactly. Yeah, I forgot. There's like one that they say that's like at 18, you think everybody's thinking about you. At 30, you realize that like nobody was thinking about you. And at 50, you were alone the whole time. Like the entire world doesn't know anything of. Yeah, so it's like it's like I forgot how it goes, but it's something along those lines. So yeah, it's true. Like focus on yourself, and really like push to want to, but you have to like, have a purpose with what you're doing things, because it's one thing to just do it, but then a reason behind doing it,
Yeah.
right? So it's a little bit of both.
I think your why needs to be bigger than your what.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you got to have a lot of heart with it. I think your heart is going to lead to meeting great people, just like how we got to meet, and like realizing your network, that you're building. People can read through that. People can see that. No matter what you do. And I learned that with poker. No matter what you do, you can like tell when somebody's like trying to actually be your friend, or they're just there because you know that you're the sucker.
You're the one with the table.
Exactly.
So what's the belief or the mindset that's guided you through those tough times, where the tough time is realizing that you have personal loss, and that led to maybe shifting from poker to a more sustainable career? or realizing that maybe the governing rails of a large corporation were too governing? Or I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what's that mindset that's taken you as a thread through all of those moments?
Yeah. So I've got to think a little bit about this one, but I got to say, it's got to be that I realized that, and it's kind of brutal, like the way it's a little extreme, but I like to think as in like the worst thing that could happen is that I could be dead, right? Like that is the worst thing. So that's what keeps me going every day, where I'm like, hey, like we get this opportunity. You know how many people don't get this opportunity due to sickness, due to, so many other life unfortunate events, but I get to do this, so I want to make the most out of it. And I think that's what gets me through it, where it's like, no matter what, I'm gonna keep pushing because I get this opportunity, and I don't want to let it slip. I've had a lot of regrets in the past, like where I know I could have pushed myself a little more and I didn't. So as you grow older, you learn from those times that you think, and I wouldn't say regrets, but you know what I mean? Kind of like, you're like, oh, I could have done a little better. I could have pushed myself a little more. And you kind of like reminisce on like moments in life that you're like, I wish I would have, and now.
Maybe you wouldn't be here if you did then.
Exactly. So that's another way I think of it. It's like the universe is always gonna lead you in the path in which you need to go to, no matter what. And there's a reason for it. And we don't know what it is. We're gonna have to find out at the end, right? So it's like,
yeah. I interviewed my father last night. I had the joy of interviewing my father, which is something I look back in years with great pride and great emotion. But the first thing he opened up with as an 82-year-old man is it goes very quick, and the older you get, the quicker it goes. So stick to that mindset.
Yeah, it's like a blink of an eye, like when you come to see, you have the kids and you have the house, and like boom, and the next thing you know, you're like in a home. It's like,
well, I mean, I meet many people who aren't the main character in their own movie.
I see that too, and it's like, I've had to come to terms with this, because I try to like influence people to wanting to be the main character in their own movie. But I've had to come to terms that some people are just meant to be workers, like they're meant to be told what to do, and they'll follow directions, and that's what they want to do in life.
Since my father, a shepherd's no good without sheep.
Yeah, no, like we need those people too. Like I think it's a balance of life. You need those that just want to be told what to do, and then you need the builders that are going to build and tell people what to do. And
there's a mixture of people. There's a, as I said, people who aren't the main character in the movie, and then there's, well, in Miami especially, just people who think they're the main character in everybody's movie.
Yeah, Miami's a different world, though.
I don't think it's real. I think it's a simulation.
I don't think it's a real place.
No, it's a set. So look, as you've kind of weaved your way through, I'm going to go off the script there that we shared initially, or off the approved questions that I sent you.
For sure.
I'll just say, is there anything that sort of stood out to you that it's a lesson learned, whether it's the hard way, whether it's being wronged by somebody, or whether it's you look back and you think that wasn't my proudest moment? Like, is there something that you even if somebody warned you about it, you learned it the hard way and you're nearly glad you did?
Yeah, I actually did. And it's not so grave. It's not such a bad thing, but it is something that stalled me for a while, and it kind of made me realize, like, what am I doing? And it was just the pride to tap into my network. Like, I had a lot of pride as a poker player who was successful, who made money, who, having to ask for anything was never a thing for me. So I was always very prideful in that sense of, like, I've always been able to do everything on my own, make everything happen as an independent, strong woman. So I wish that I would have learned this sooner, to be able to talk to my network, because these are the people that support you the most. These are the people that are around you, like, and especially the ones that want to see you succeed and want to see you do well. Like, they're going to try to do their best to help you and elevate you. Something I learned way too late. And it took me a while to, like, bring, those walls down. And I would recommend to anyone who's building a business, who's, doing anything, like, tap into your network, talk to people that, you trust and that you love, because you never know who might be the one to help you out.
Yeah. And to that point, look at the people who celebrate your victories without jealousy. They're your real friends.
Yeah,
know your real
that's a
support.
big thing. That's a big thing. Yeah, because sometimes you think you're headed, towards the right direction, like to these outside sources, and then those are the first people who are going to stab you in the back, and you're just like limping there, trying to get up, and then it makes everything a lot harder.
Absolutely. So what is the future of BeThere?
So right now we are like building. So the future of BeThere is that I'm hoping that all of us have it on our phones in a matter of a year, so that we can test it out in Miami and then expand it to multiple cities. We already have a roadmap to the next cities that we want to go into, and just make everybody's life easier with travel. I want to make sure that we're experiencing the moment and not, feeling like we're completely out of whack by going through all these tabs that we have to deal with every single day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've seen it. And so for people who don't know what it is a concierge tool, right? Or at least
Correct.
that's one aspect of it. So why don't you give us a brief kind of
So it kind of like
advertisement?
connects, yeah. Yeah. So there's the concierge aspect of it, which is like the guest and the concierge connect. We have a AI called Mia, and Mia talks to you and she can plan your whole itinerary. So you can tell her your budget, the days that you're visiting, what you want to do, how many people you're with. And then Mia kind of formulates the entire itinerary for you. And then she pushes it out. You can edit, click, whatever you want. But then the other component that we're solving is the service providers, like, the transportation companies, the yacht companies. They don't really have a lot of trusted platforms in which you get that communication to come in. So what we're doing here is that we're piecing it together, where we're like kind of like that Uber communication, where it's like, you're in a stranger's car, but that Uber is always going to like protect you if you lose your phone or something and contact the driver. So we're doing the same thing with like the yachts and the tour guides and everything that we're pretty much offering.
Safety in that audit check all the way through your holiday.
Yeah, we want to make it safe because, for example, like Miami, like there's a lot of scams with yachts. Like people will come in and book a yacht, and then next thing you know, they get bait and switch, and then you look at the yacht and you're like, this is not the yacht I saw in this picture. This is like a little dinghy. So we're trying to avoid that for people, because it's kind of sad. It's unfortunate that it happens, but we want to make sure that we're those middlemen to help with that, but also bring the tech behind it, because I think that there's like this concierge world in the hotel world is very fragmented from the tech scene. So like we want to like, piece it all together and be like, hey, why have we not been doing this? We're in 2025.
I agree. I love that. So the last question we always ask here in the Irish Goodbye is, and in the future, the plan will be in about 6 months to have a follow-up interview with you, but it'll be in person at a bar.
I love that. Yeah.
So the whole mindset of the Irish Goodbye is, and we've been out enough times, that I do Irish goodbyes. If you were about to leave the bar, and you had a napkin in front of you and a pen, what is a bit of wisdom you're going to leave behind you for the person coming?
Man, so I guess I'll leave them with one of my favorite quotes. Actually, it's one of my top quotes. And it's, what you seek seeks you. So that's what I would leave them with. What you're seeking is always going to find you. So keep pushing for it, because there's going to be something or some event that's going to lead you towards that. So I love that quote because I live by it, and I really think it's true.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Lucy, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing your wisdom. I know you're a brilliantly talented person, and I'm glad everybody else is going to get to learn from you too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. And I really appreciate it. And I hope that anything that I can help with, I'm here. Lucy Olivera. Thank you.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.